Good afternoon. I am Debbie McKeever, founder and owner of Strong and Healthy Temple, a virtual holistic health and wellness coaching practice servicing clients worldwide. It's a very hot day out here today. It's actually smoldering out here today, but I'm not a fan of winter, so I'm not going to complain. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you today about the subject of letting go. It's a very sensitive subject, and no matter what you're trying to let go of, it could be very difficult. And in any instance, to let go, whether it be a relationship, a job, a bad habit, whatever it is, sometimes it can be hard to let go. And a lot of times the thing that's standing in the way of letting go is ourselves. And it just comes back to, my favorite topic. It comes back to the mindset. And so the first thing that you have to do is change your mindset around whatever it is that you're trying to let go of. And I'll use a couple of examples here. First one, when I walked away from corporate America, and I know this is, a big one with jobs, is, a lot of times we get attached to the money, we get attached to the salary, and you think about, how much money you're making, and it's hard to let go of that, or it can be scary to think, okay, I'm letting go of all this money and I really, don't have a plan B, especially when you're, like in my instance, when you're going in business for yourself and the only plan that you have is your belief in yourself and your belief in God, and just knowing that the divine is your source and not that employer and not that paycheck. It could be a very scary feeling just to get out there and walk on faith. Another big one is loyalty, where people feel certain loyalties to their employers, or they feel a responsibility to somebody who may have helped them get the job. I've heard people say things like, well, I can't really walk away because, such and such, really went out of his way to help me get this job, and, I would feel bad if I left, when such and such might not even get, offended by the fact that you need to leave, for your own mental health. And again, like I said, it's just a matter of getting your mindset right around it first. I had the right mindset, I had to develop the right mindset to be able to walk away and step out, on faith. It's not as easy as it sounds. You have to get your mind developed where you can believe in yourself enough to say, hey, if I can make all this money for my employer, then I can make it for myself. And so, then once I, got my mind fixed, and I was able to more easily, walk away from the job and more importantly, from the salary. And it's the same thing with relationships. A lot of times you feel a certain sense of loyalty, or you may just be complacent in the relationship, and not just a romantic relationship, but also friendships. My maternal grandmother had this saying where people would wear out their welcomes, like when they come to visit, like they come and stay all day, or not really knowing when to leave, or if it was a person from out of town, instead of just staying for maybe a few days or a week, people are trying to stay in your house for a month or a couple of months, and it's like they're trying to move in. So she would always call that wearing out your welcome, not knowing when something has run its course. And you have to know when anything has run its course, and just knowing the importance of letting it go. And relationships is a really big one. Like I said, it doesn't really matter what kind of relationship it is. Another thing that my grandmother said, is sometimes you have to pray for people and stay away from them. She would always say, pray for them and stay away from them. You can't associate with everybody. It's just like somebody that you've fallen out with, and you forgive them, and you feel like just because you forgave them, that you have to reconnect with them. Well, you can forgive them, and like my grandmother used to say, you can love them from a distance. But when something has run its course, it's run its course. And just because the relationship ends doesn't mean that it has to end on a bad note. It can end amicably. All my relationships with my employers that the 3 employers that I've left in the past, they all ended on a good note. I didn't leave in hostility or burn any bridges, but you know what? Sometimes you have to strike a match and burn the bridge. It might be an instance where you never need to cross that bridge again. So, I don't, I try not to burn bridges, because that's another thing that my grandmother taught me, because you never know when you might need somebody again. But there may be that instance where that's a bridge that you never need to cross again. And so you may need to pull out the box of matches, particularly where relationships are concerned. And I talk about this in my Ways to Self-Sabotage series with my ex, where he was just a really toxic person. And even after the relationship was over, we had it was a one-sided friendship, of course, because he was a user. But, I maintained a friendship with him, which is something that I don't normally do after relationships. But I was going through this process of knowing that I needed to cut it off, but I was prolonging it by, trying to go through all these steps. And so one morning I just woke up and decided that that wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. And so I just cut it off cold turkey, because I realized that I didn't owe him anything. He didn't deserve anything from me, including an explanation. And so I just cut it off cold turkey, and I cut off all forms of communication. And even I didn't change my number or anything like that, because I didn't want to inconvenience everybody else. And so even if he would call or text or whatever it was, I would answer or respond. And before I moved, when he would come by, I wouldn't open my door. And I got to the point that I wasn't even trying to be quiet anymore. I was living in an apartment at this time, and he would come by, and I had these French doors, and I would just sit there reading a book. I wasn't even trying to hide. And he would come leave the door and go to the French doors and just be looking at me like, "You're not gonna let me in?" And no, I don't want anything to do with you anymore, because I cut it. It was just one of those things where it was a relationship that needed to be cut off completely. With it was a no contact type of thing. So you have to know the level of letting go that you have to do as well. Sometimes it's not just about letting go and remaining amicable, sociable, or whatever. Sometimes it's just a complete cut off with no contact. So you have to know the difference in the level of cutting off something too. Like I was saying, some bridges aren't meant to be crossed again. So you do need to pull out that box of matches and burn that bridge. And same thing with bad habits. We just have to make a decision that, hey, all this junk food that I'm eating isn't healthy for me anymore, or these cigarettes that I'm smoking are a risk to my health and risking the health of my loved ones, particularly, if they're not smokers, they could get secondhand. I think it was Christopher Reeve's wife that died of lung cancer, and she didn't even smoke. It was secondhand smoke, because other people are rude. So at least be a considerate smoker if you are going to be a smoker. My siblings smoke, but they're very considerate of me when they smoke, and not to do it around me and blow smoke in my face and things like that. But I don't allow anybody to don't allow them to smoke when they come to my home. They have to go outside or whatever. So you just have to decide that this is not good for me. Or if you're in a bad environment or a toxic environment, you just have to decide, this isn't good for me anymore. And sometimes that includes starting back over. If you're in a bad home environment, you might have to move to an entirely different state. I've known people that have moved to other countries and just start fresh. So like I said, not only just knowing when to let go, but knowing the level of severity of what you're letting go of. Knowing is this something that I can just kind of let go of partially, like a relationship, and still remain friends, or is this a no contact kind of letting go? If it's a bad home environment, is this just a matter of me just, moving down the street, or, do I need to move to another state or another country, or something like that? Or do we just, if it's a bad marriage, or, a bad romantic relationship, do we just need counseling, or do we just need to cut this thing off and get a divorce or whatever? So, again, is, get your mindset around it first. Don't make emotional decisions. I got my mindset right before I walked away from corporate America. I got my mindset right before I, completely cut off the relationship with my ex. I didn't do anything, in anger or emotionally. And if it's a bad habit, and if it's bad for your health or whatever, that's just kind of obvious. If it's causing you to be sick, or if it could, cause you to have a chronic illness, or better yet, die, then it's obvious, that is something that you need to let go of cold turkey. I'm not saying that you necessarily will be able to do it cold turkey. You may have to do it in steps, but it is, obvious that, smoking isn't good for you, and filling up your body with a bunch of junk and all these kinds of things, and, drinking too much or anything like that, or using drugs, these things aren't good for you. And I'm not judging it. I'm just saying, just make a decision and get your mindset right around it, because if you don't, start with the mind, then you're probably just going to fall back in the habit anyway. Just like with a relationship, you're going to keep falling back into the same patterns and habits when you don't, when your mind is not right. Mindset is always the foundation. So you're probably always going to hear me talk about that. That is always the foundation. My neighbor's dog just decided to join me, so I hope you guys are okay with that. It's a German Shepherd over there. He or she or whatever it is. I think it's a boy. He barks a lot. I'm surprised he's not barking in like all my videos, because he barks a lot. But anyway, that's a part of nature, so I'm cool with that. But anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would love for you to subscribe to the videos, hit the bell icon to receive notifications when I release new videos. Please share the videos with your friends, your family, and your network. And thank you again for watching. Make it a fabulous day.